That is, you lose yourself. In the Christian term, that means you embrace God, or in our term, you reach the void, you reach the ultimate, which is possible. And in our term, we could even become Buddha in 2 or 3 minutes. You know, I think that was tremendous. And from those who listen to us, watch our program, don't believe me, but you can put that into practice easily. You know, when you get up in the morning, don't rush. Breathe in properly for 5 minutes. Before you go to bed, do likewise. If you are Christian, breathe God into you. Or you're Catholic, breathe the Mother of God into you. And that's tremendous. You become sacred. You become less compartmentalized, and you are strong. You can resist consumerism. You can resist any advertisement. You see, very, very simple. And from there on, you can develop.
No stress, no nervousness. You feel connected.
No need to, you see. And this is something very simple that at one time the state felt that something bad, and therefore they banned it. But once you overcome that sort of thing, and then you can pray with the Jews, you can pray with the Christian, you can pray with the Muslim, something which we all agree together.
Reverend Braybrooke, is there a way to pray in a non-secular way?
Well, I take up your point, and we're developing in our own congregation sort of prayer, sometimes called the centering prayer, of breathing and of silence. But with the World Congress of Faith, we've really pioneered the attempt to bring people together to pray, and I think this is really very important. But for me, and I use Christian terms, I suppose, it affirms that God is a God of all people and sacredness of all life. And the book, All in Good Faith, is an attempt to try and give examples of this. But you see, the British experience is different to the American in that traditionally we've had services of prayer on state occasions. But I think it's clear in a country which has people of many faiths, they need to express all faiths. So on Commonwealth Day, the Queen attends Westminster Abbey, there are prayers and sacred readings from the scriptures of the world. And more individually, I've been asked to celebrate marriages where one person is Christian, one is Jewish, and we've wanted to have some sort of religious ceremony. So I believe we've got to discover this and find new symbolism which expresses our human unity. And some of this is happening at URI.
So some of this is about reformulating our own dogmatic perceptions of correct prayer,
Yes.
form of prayer. Of course, Christians
new rituals. Yes.
Yeah, Christians are all united by the Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
Yes, and the very beautiful prayer, but it very, very, the imagery is very solid to Westerners. And
The Jewish prayer, really.
Jewish prayer, yes, but it is with all things grow from the Old Testament, of course, and we have the Muslim and the Christian, all coming from that idea that where it seems that the prayer is actually an identity issue with the faith. And how are you dealing with this at URI? I know this is something that you're talking about at URI, the ability to pray together and jointly praying.
For the moment, we mostly have meditations led by one tradition, which others of us attend, and today we had a Native American one, or at the beginning of the sessions. There's a prayer I like very much: O God of many names, lover of all people, give peace in our hearts, give peace in our world, give peace in our universe. Now, I know the word God can have difficulties, and one of the Buddhist friends in our book says, if you call God truth, then that's fine with us.
Yes, well, there's an interesting paradox that seems to occur in the Western mindset. You cannot make an idol of God. You cannot make an image of God. And some versions of the Hebrew, they don't even spell the word. They put a dash between G and D because it cannot be formed. And yet it seems that this argument is over that very idolatrous idea that it must be this way because that is what the face of God looks like.
And yet, in one of the early fathers has this prayer, O God of beyond all names, what name shall we call you? I think there's always been that tradition, the mystery of the divine always transcends any of our images, whether they're verbal or pictorial.
I had a secular humanist speaker on the show just a few weeks ago, and I got him, and he agreed basically in the value of God as a metaphor. And I'm thinking how how unifying this conversation is, because basically that's what we're saying as well, isn't it?
I think it's a real metaphor. A
real
metaphor of the real.
Yes,
Yes.
a real metaphor. Metaphors are real things.
Yes.
I mean, it's just pointing in the general direction. It's like, just pointing in the direction of what's real. That's really what a name should do, or an image should do for us in that context.
But the divine reality also impinges upon us.
Yes,
I believe.
Indeed. We're running out of time. I want to mention your books. You both are very, very widely published, and some wonderful literature. This book, especially, Marcus Braybrooke, Pilgrimage of Hope, 100 Years of Global Interfaith Dialogue. And this is really the history of the interfaith.
From 1893 up till 1993. And so much has happened in the last 10 years, we need a second volume to introduce URI.
Indeed, URI. And you can get this through the Connexus Press. We mentioned Connexus Press on the show with Bishop Swing. But Connexus Press has a website, and I don't have it here in front of me, but you watch the Bishop Swing show, and we'll give you the website. But you can also get these in bookstores. You have a number of wonderful things: interfaith topics, prayer, interfaith prayer, excellent stuff. And everybody that I've talked to said, if you want to know about the interfaith movement, you're the fellow to talk to. So you need to tune in and take a look at this stuff. It looks absolutely fascinating. I haven't had a chance to read any of it, but it looks wonderful. And we have, as I said, two prolific authors. Our Mr. Sivaraksa has Loyalty Demands Dissent. You, of course, have gone through quite a lot with your country, trying to teach them the same type of trouble Socrates seemed to have gone through with his country. This book has a foreword by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The book is very well received. The reviews on the back are Nobel laureates, etc. And also, this is just one of a number of books. Also, we have a book, Global Healing, which is a new book out. You might not see it anywhere else, but both of these are available through any large bookseller. I think you can probably find them at most of the places that distribute on the web. And gentlemen, I know this could go on for a day. There's just so much information to impart, but unfortunately, we're limited by that Descartes and his damn clocks. So we have to end this at some point. But I cannot tell you how much of a pleasure, how much of an honor it has been for both of you to be here. Thank you very, very much for coming. Please keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And everyone, thank you for being with us. I'm Andy Nesky. Good night.